Okay, so for this final design, Heather, I was just going to sort of talk about something a bit more conventional, if you like. So
Yeah.
I've used a tray like this, or that sort of scale, which has 2 or 2.5 blocks of Oasis foam as my foundation.
Okay.
It's strapped on with the Oasis tape,
Yeah.
and then I've used blue pine as the evergreen background with tree ivy, which I've sprayed gold, so the little fruits pick out little highlights and things like that, and I've tucked that in. And again, I've put it in asymmetrically but evenly throughout the whole composition.
Yeah.
I then use this eucalyptus, which is plastic but it's flocked, so it looks like it has snow on it, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah.
Ties in nicely with the white pine cones, little plastic fruits, and then I've used artificial or faux botanical hellebores and roses through the centre here. And I think that if you combine the faux botanicals with real foliage, you have to look quite closely to see that they aren't real.
Yeah.
Plus, they'll last
Yeah.
forever, whereas if you were hellebores would probably last about 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And the roses, the roses, you'd probably get a week out of them, and
Yeah,
they would still
yeah.
look quite good. But, or if you had a season, you could almost do it with the faux material for the first 3 weeks, and then put fresh in for Christmas if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this to show, talk about setting a table as much as anything, about how this layering of detail and how just doing the same design with different sort of colorways can make it look different and more original. So in this, I'm going to use blue baubles, which I've wired together to make these little groups. And it's nice to have the same color but different tones, makes it feel more interesting.
Yeah.
And I will probably do 3 groups on this. And it's easy to put the baubles in, if you don't pull the ends off, by just tucking the wires in. And there's one there that these are glass baubles. I'd recommend using plastic ones. They're a lot easier to work with, but I couldn't find any in the colour that I wanted that were plastic. And I think I might put that group more towards the centre. And the iridescence of these baubles, I think, kind of electrifies the design. It makes it just feel more exciting. These are a bit of a nightmare, actually, these ones.
And you're right, aren't you? It's good having some that are matte and some that
Yeah,
are
I
glossy.
think it makes it more interesting. The tones, as I say, are similar, but what makes it interesting is the fact that some are shiny and some are matte, and it's even worth thinking about the scale of the baubles.
Yeah.
Maybe have 2 large ones and 2 medium or 3 medium-sized ones. I think that often, if you think of putting them together as if it were a bunch of grapes, there's something about that triangulation of graduation of scale that make it look more naturalistic and work a little bit more effectively. And I'll put that last cone in there. So pretty basic design. That's the core of what is going to be the table centerpiece for this particular idea. So I'll now take this over to the table and then we'll finish off. Great. So Heather, this is talking about creating what I talked about table landscapes.
Yep.
You've seen the design that I've just done, which is our centerpiece, and of course there could be one or any number of these, but it doesn't have to be that the whole thing is a continuous swag down the centre of the table. This is the sort of the highlight. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that by having different heights, volumes, complementary or similar materials, that all these elements end up tying together.
Yeah.
And you could have other things that you have squirreled away in boxes in the loft, under the stairs, in the garage and whatever, that you can introduce that just make the whole thing even more fun and more animated.
Yeah.
So whether it's your disco balls, anything that reflects light is fantastic. These are sort of giant tree ornaments, and little small baby ones that tie in with those as well, that I'll add to this. These glass ones, I mean, perfect colour to tie in with the baubles that are already in the design there. You know, the shapes are fun and complementary, and the fact that they're transparent adds another dimension to the thing. And obviously you decorate both sides of the table. These are tree ornaments, but I mean the iridescence on them is just fantastic. So they're designed to be used like that, but why not just put them on the table anyway? These sort of snowflake, and they catch, I mean at night time these would look magical, because they would catch candlelight, or if you were in a venue where there were downlighters or something like that, they would really pick up the colour. So tree ornaments I often use as accessories to you know, a design like this. These again are really inexpensive tree ornaments, plastic.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because they look completely different when you put them
laid horizontally. Well, in a way, I think they're more powerful.
I think so.
Because it gives them a background. They look more solid, and you can bleed them through the table because they take very little, if any, space. And yet they've got a really strong dynamic to them. And of course, this blue colouring is all tying up with what's happening in these two vases.
Is incredible, isn't it?
So this is just a sort of a sequin. I don't know what you call it, spray, which, seen out the bag, looks pretty suspect. But once you put it in these chrome or nickel-plated vases, there's just tree ivy, a piece of Nordman pine, some silk lilies, and then these silver heads are Blupleurum fruticosum, which is a wonderful evergreen. The seeds pretty much stay on the heads through the winter months. I've sprayed them silver so they look frosted, and then I've threaded them through. I think there's 3 of these in each one of the vases, but it's about the association of colour. There's no reason why I couldn't even put, you know, if you really wanted it to be wow, you could put some of those in that as well.
Or you could feed it through underneath, couldn't you?
Yeah,
so
it could
just
be
coming out onto
absolutely,
like the other things that you've found.
You've also been listening to what I've been
have,
saying today. You see, you're picking up the tips and tricks.
I wouldn't have thought of that before.
But don't be dismissive of things that are you know, slightly questionable taste. It's about how they're used. That conceptualises them in a way that actually they get a whole new status.
Yeah, they do.
By the way that you're adding them to all the other ingredients that you have. But what's linking this is the colours, or the palette of colours that are limiting the thing and making it look more sophisticated. Candles, you know, they don't all have to be the same size. You've obviously got to be conscious of making sure they're not near anything that's flammable. Church style or scale candles last much longer than dinner candles, but they add a great deal of magic. And if you're in a situation where you can't use real candles, then these battery operated ones are so authentic.
They're good, aren't they? They appear to flicker.
They do flicker, and you can buy ones which go into tea light holders, which are very inexpensive, and particularly if the tea light holder is opaque or frosted, you can't see them. They flicker like you know, tree lights, like candlelight. And then these little things I found today, actually, I was in the supermarket, and they're like little miniature, little sort of landscapes which have a little light in them. And if I was sitting at this table, and, you know, your initial effect when you walk in the room is, wow, you know, you're seeing the blue and the silver. And then you sit down and you go,
With
oh, look.
something really detailed.
Yeah, so it's sort of macro to micro detail that
yeah.
gives the whole thing these layers of interest. And again,
Yeah.
you know, when we've done livery company events,
Yeah,
we're looking for the big effect to begin with, but sometimes some little thing, you know, we've done when we did Paul's, to celebrate Paul's, you know, as master, we did the celebration of Rochford, the house plant side, the fruit and vegetable production, the nursery production. It's these layers of detail that people pick up on, and it makes a story richer.
yeah,
And similarly, when we've done other, you know, events, trying to add these layers of detail that make sitting at the table, which could easily be for 2 hours or more, a sort of an adventure.
yeah,
And you explore the table by what you see, and likewise if we do a design where there's fruit on a table or nuts on the table, people can browse off of the table.
yeah.
So they're all things that can be considered as well.
So I'm going in the supermarket on my way home then?
Yeah, £1.80 they were. I thought
That's
they were
really good.
Yeah, really good value. But you know, again, I'm always responding to things that I see.
Yeah.
I have a notion,
Yeah,
and then I layer these notions with things that I almost find spontaneously.
yeah,
And if you're doing a banquet or something, or a special event, I always think it's really worth thinking about the impact of the tablecloth. This just happens to be a bed sheet, but you can hire really special, luxurious tablecloths if you're doing a one-off event. They might cost you £15 to hire, but the impact that they have is really worth it.
yeah,
Because when you walk into the room, 20 tables with a powerful tablecloth add for £150, £200 a great deal of effect.
yeah,
And likewise, a lot of companies will hire charger plates or water glasses. Now imagine if this had its glassware, I'd have blue water glasses and the wine glasses would be white.
yeah,
You know, just clear glass.
yeah,
But they would add lustre to this effect.
yeah,
And you could hire charger plates for probably £2 a head or £2 a plate. But they also add a great deal to the effect
yeah,
of the setting, even though you might just use a white dining plate.
yeah,
But there are numerous companies that hire things. I mean, these aren't expensive, these are plastic ones, but you can hire cover plates and things.
Yeah.
All it's layers of detail that make a difference to making an event into something really memorable.
yeah,
And that's what we're always looking for, whether it's a private celebration or a company event. We want people to remember it for a reason, you know, for the accent or for that little detail that shows that extra effort's been made. When we did the dinner at the Apothecaries Company,
that was amazing.
Paul, you know, the whole thing was about herbs and medicine.
Yeah,
I could have just done any old flower, but it was putting them in the medicine bottles and the documents and the books and the blue and white china, and it's the layering of detail that makes
but
these
also
events.
it's sort of like you said at the beginning about you're welcoming people, say it's into your house or it could be into a banqueting suite or wherever, but actually you're showing that you really care, that you're paying that
It's a
level
gesture,
of attention to that detail.
It's a very important part.
And then
of
if
it.
you're layering it as well, so it's engaging
Yes.
for a longer period of time.
Yes. Yeah. So.
I can't manage to take this home with me.
Well, but you can take the ideas. As everyone watching this will be able to take the ideas. You may well have some of these elements hanging around that you can. I can add this to that. And
I'm definitely going to look out for things differently now.
Good, good. Well, thank you for
just fabulous. And honestly, thank you so much. I mean, well, it's so difficult. You don't just rock up with a few things here, do you? I mean, it takes such a lot of work to put all of this together. You've got to think about it. You've got to sort out all the materials. Then you've got to actually put them all together, put them in your car, come here. I mean, it's just so much effort. We really appreciate the fact that you've done this. And have a little present.
Ooh.
It's in a nice bag.
Oh, in a Gardener's Company bag. Oh, thank you very much, Helen.
Thank you
very much.
ever so much. It's
Good.
really good. It's
Thank
been
you.
a fabulous
Good.
session.
Good.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Great.
Thank you. God, it's amazing.
There you go.